How do I win, right? Toni Harp has an incredible amount of institutional support. She's got every politician and their brother that's endorsed her. And she has a lot of money coming in, particularly a lot from outside of New Haven. About 70% of her contributions are coming from folks outside the city. About 80% of my contributions are coming from folks inside of New Haven, and a lot, on average, a lot smaller donation. As I said, I've participated in public financing, and I've committed to continuing to participate in those rules, even though I don't get matching funds through my campaign anymore. So it makes it difficult for me to win, right? So the question is this candidate a viable candidate? And I would argue that yes. And I'm not just going to argue that and ask you to take my word for it. I'll go through the numbers with you. I got 3,400 votes in the primary. And we've talked to a lot of our supporters that voted for me, and there is virtually zero wavering of our support because I happen to be running as an independent. Because everyone knows that I'm a Democrat, and they care about who is going to be their next mayor, not some big D or big I next to their name. So those are 3,400 people, right? We have Henry Fernandez supporters. And I've called probably a lot of you, if you were Henry Fernandez supporters already, and I've called many more Henry Fernandez supporters around the city, and the vast majority of those folks are saying that they're now going to support me in this race, and I really appreciate your support if you previously supported Henry. He got about, 2,400 votes, and so I think a good percentage of those are going to come to vote for me. Kermit, Carolina. One of the things that I have worked very hard to do is to get more broad support around the city. And I'm sure that you understand the challenges to doing that. But Kermit, Carolina's endorsement, in addition to the amount of canvassing that we've done in many neighborhoods around the city, will increase in general the number of support that we're getting from, or the level of support we're getting from other neighborhoods. And Kermit's been incredibly helpful, not just with his endorsement, but continuing to work together, our team and his team, to broaden our message. And interestingly enough, the message that Kermit was carrying forward and the message that I was talking about a lot are the same thing. Advocating for a group of people that aren't just politically connected, but trying to be a voice for folks that haven't really been involved in politics before, but really care about this city and wanting to move it forward. So we'll get a handful of votes from Kermit, probably a decent number of votes. But the most important votes are not the Republicans, as people might think, although Republican votes are important and Republicans are absolutely important. I'm always reluctant to say that, and particularly because Paul has his camera on, it's driving me crazy. You always have to be careful what you say about Republicans in New Haven. But there's 18,000 unaffiliated voters in New Haven. And
wow.
The 18,000 people, and you think about the percentage of votes that Toni got overall in New Haven is 16% of all New Haven voters. 18,000 people have not voice their opinion in this election. So our challenge as a campaign is reaching as many people as possible and encouraging people to vote, particularly people that have previously not voted because they said, oh, this is just politics as usual, or these politicians all come to my door and they say the same thing and they promise and they promise and promise and I never see them after election time. If you ask my constituents, they say that's not true, but I need to prove that to people around the city, and I need to your help to help spread this message that we need people coming out to vote. Because if we don't have these unaffiliated voters, many of whom will vote in general elections, but many of whom are just so disenfranchised that they don't want to vote, those are the people that need to vote, because if they don't vote, guess what? It's the same old system of a group of politicians getting their group of people to vote. And therefore, that group ends up holding all the reins of how the city or the state or the federal government are run. So I'd ask for your support in helping me get not only your neighbors that are Democrats and Republicans, but particularly those unaffiliated voters excited about this election and engaged in getting to the polls. So with that, maybe I'll